Main character energy. What even is that? Okay, you've heard of it. You've seen it on TikTok. Where did it come from? What does it mean? Why do some people absolutely hate it? We're going to talk all about that today, plus how you can embody main character energy because, spoiler alert, I actually think it can be a good thing. So let's talk about it. Here are the chapters. If you want to skip around, they're also linked in the description. Let me know what you think. Please remember to like, comment, and consider subscribing. It helps me out so much, and I'm so happy that you are here. Chapter 1, the origins of this main character energy meme. So the concept of main character energy got popular on TikTok several years ago. And as far as I can tell, you can trace it back to this one specific video by a user called Lexapro Lesbian. And it's a comedy video. She's making fun of herself in this concept of people wanting to be looked at.
This is the time that I walk through my neighborhood to remind everyone in my neighborhood that I'm the main character in this neighborhood. Yes, the main one. Look.
Then there's also a video by Ashley Ward that is more of an inspirational video rather than a comedy video, and people were using that audio to make their own inspirational content.
You have to start romanticizing your life. You have to start thinking of yourself as the main character. Because if you don't, life will continue to pass you by.
I think if you asked a dozen people what main character energy is, and those dozen people were very online, then they would give you a dozen different answers. Some people really think it is narcissistic and self-centered and unnecessary, and other people really like the idea of romanticizing your life and centering yourself. And if you ask my opinion, I think main character energy can be a really useful tool for people who are struggling to center themselves and to like themselves, whether that's because they have low self-esteem, they suffer from depression, they suffer from self-doubt in other ways. And using this framework of the main character can help them figure out how to romanticize their lives and feel gratitude towards their existence. It's a way to give people permission who otherwise wouldn't to center themselves. And that's why I think this idea of main character energy resonates with women so much, because we're constantly socialized to put others first and to be helpful. So let's dissect the concept of main character energy. So take a second to think about some of the trends we've seen online. Main character energy, we have villain era, non-playable characters or NPCs. We have this idea of a background character or a side character or a side quest. What do all these things have in common? We're framing our lives around this idea that we live in a movie. This is language that you would use if you're describing a film. The NPC is a video game, I get that, but the idea is still the same. Video games still have storylines and you're still sort of entertained by a plot. Quite frankly, it's understandable. We're all interacting with each other on screens, we're vlogging, we're filming more of our lives than I think any people have in the history of humanity because cameras are just so accessible to us. So it's not that it's bad, it's just a way for us to understand the trend. I just want to dissect it a little bit. Now let's think a little more deeply about what qualities we typically assign a main character, and I'm going to use she, her pronouns here because the main character trend resonates more with women, I think. The main character in a movie typically has something special about her. Otherwise, we wouldn't be watching her. She's magnetic, she has energy, she has a cool job, she probably works in media, she has a small circle of friends. She doesn't live by the rules. She's confident and she's not self-conscious, even though she's really eccentric and outgoing and people look at her when she goes places because she does crazy things. She's living her life to the fullest and she has depth about her. Interesting things happen to her. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a movie, right? Like there's a plot. Something new happens. And frequently that leads to us romanticizing her. We want to be her. We want to live that life that looks so fabulous. All of that's to say that she's interesting. She's enviable. She's that girl. We want to watch her because we want to be her, because that would mean that we're worth watching. I want you to remember that term, worth. We're worth it. And for someone who's struggling with centering themselves, for someone who's struggling with seeing their own value, that's powerful. But there's also another really important trend on social media, and that is the discussion of narcissism. So let's talk about that. I'm also fascinated by this concept of narcissism, and I do think it might be a little overhyped and overused, but it is relevant to this discussion because some people have accused people having main character energy as people being a narcissist. A lot of the criticisms around main character energy is that people are obsessing over themselves and making everything about them. Being the main character means you're literally the center of the story and you are the protagonist and everyone else around you is just side characters. So wouldn't that make you a narcissist if you wanted to be that? I think it depends. There's a very popular psychologist named Dr. Romani who talks pretty much exclusively about narcissism, and this is what she had to say about the idea.
Where this main characterness runs the risk of veering into narcissistic territory is when it becomes about needing the audience. So my question is, can a main character-driven person who has posted the quirky little, "Look at me buying the ingredients to make my sourdough bread," or being the central character in their various vacation pictures, would it be okay if there wasn't a lot of validation? Or if there weren't a lot of likes and comments? Because if the main character energy person gets upset that nobody is tuning into their life, that's when I think it has taken a left turn onto narcissism lane. If the main character lacks empathy, that's when this entire main character vibe starts to feel narcissistic to me. Main character energy with self-awareness and empathy, to me, is a person who is being assertive and agentic and standing in their power. All good stuff. A main character who is not self-aware or self-reflective or not empathic, well, that is just an attention-seeking person who may be more in the realm of narcissism and antagonism.
One commenter on that video put it really well. They said, the difference between I'm the main character in my story and I have to be the main character in everyone's story. So I think that puts a good perspective on this idea of when main character energy starts to feed into narcissism. But sometimes I see content like this that I think people will call narcissistic.
This is exactly what I mean when I say main character energy. You need to be so delusional. You need to walk into, let's say you have a party, an event, a meeting, walk into that space as if every single person in that room is waiting for you and they need something from you. I'm telling you, it's a game changer.
So you can interpret this advice in two different ways. The first is that this person is using this mindset tool to trick themselves into thinking that they are important and powerful and have influence. It's basically a way to make them realize that they are allowed to take up space. This makes them think people want them there, and it gives them confidence. And this advice works if that person typically goes to a big event and just cowers in the corner and feels really self-conscious. She's literally acknowledging in the beginning of that statement, you have to be delusional. She knows this is not the reality of the situation. It is a way to trick yourself into thinking that you are significant. But if someone who is already really into themselves and has an inflated sense of self-importance takes this stance, then that becomes a problem. It no longer becomes a tool to overcome self-doubt. It just becomes their reality, and that reality is just work. And so that's going to lead that person to believing that other people are there just to obsess over them. So now we're going to talk about some tips for how to embody main character energy and use it as a tool to build self-confidence and to feel value in yourself and gratitude for your life. But before I do that, I just want to remind you that if you're getting value from this video, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. It really helps me out, and I would love to know that you exist and to say hi in the comments. So thank you so much for watching regardless, and let's get back into the video. So if you're someone who struggles with self-confidence and you need to use mindset tools to make yourself feel good, I don't want you to feel guilty about using this framework. Main character energy can be a really good thing. It comes down to romanticizing your life. You want to find ways to fill yourself with this fuzzy feeling, like you want to be happy and grateful for who you are now and what you have and each and everything you do. And you need to find ways that works for you. Because think about it, most people do the same thing every single day. The goal is to find a way to make yourself feel energized by doing the boring stuff. You have to feel gratitude about it. You have to be excited to do it. It's just a way to idealize your life. Even though no one's life is perfect, it's a way to ward off this feeling of the grass is always greener and I'll be happy when, and I just need to achieve this and then I will feel X, Y, and Z. You can feel that right now. You just have to find ways to do it. So let's walk through some exercises that can help you achieve this. So the first step people usually suggest, if you've watched other videos about this, is to get your mindset right. And I honestly get really angry at that advice because it's like, how exactly do I do that? If I could do that easily, then things would fall into place. So here's how I recommend you start with that. And these are baby steps, my friend. Just remember that. First thing I want you to do is think about how you want to feel every day. Don't worry about how you're going to get there. Just think about what you want. Do you want to feel gratitude? Do you want to feel energized? Do you want to feel excited? Do you want to feel happy every day? Do you want to feel motivated or validated or beautiful or grateful? Just write down as many adjectives as you can. Next, we're gonna find ways to glamorize simplicity and repetition. If you're watching this video and you were recommended my channel, odds are that you want to level up your life in some way, because baby girl, same. And the honest truth is that growth happens through the monotonous repetition of the same actions and habits that will lead you toward your goal. It is one of the most accepted tenets of self-development, the whole atomic habits model. So you have to find ways that work for you that make them feel fresh and exciting. So let me throw out some ideas. I think one of the most obvious ways to become a main character is to film yourself. The whole idea of main character energy is to feel like you're in a movie. Things are happening to you. Things are moving along. The plot thickens. And one way to do that is just by pretending you have an audience. And you can do this through imagination alone, but you can also just vlog your life, film yourself, film the everyday activities that you go through. Don't get me wrong, you don't have to post it. You can if you want. It shouldn't matter if someone is actually watching. You're trying to trick your brain into thinking that you are worth watching, that your life is exciting enough to watch. It's also really nice to have vlogs that you can look back on, because I know that I forget what I do day in and day out. Like, what were the moments that really lit me up? What were the moments I was grateful for or excited about? What were some of the more dramatic things, even though they weren't that big of a deal? Having some sort of recording of what you did on any ordinary day throughout the year could actually be really fun to look back on, especially as time passes. Think about home movies. They're just really disorganized vlogs, no? It's just nostalgic. And nostalgia is a very powerful emotion that people romanticize. It fills you with complicated feelings. The added benefit of recording yourself using your phone is that you cannot scroll during the day. So that's another plus. Next up, you're gonna set aside time to reflect and to slow down, because being pensive is it's really romantic. Like, think about sitting on a windowsill with a cup of tea and a blanket and just looking out the window at the rain. Doesn't it feel cozy just thinking about it? Other things you can do is you can sit in a cafe and let your mind wander, or you can people watch, or you can actually get out a journal and start writing. Another way to journal is to just voice memo or video yourself journaling. A lot of people do video diaries, a little different from vlogging because you're not tracking your time and what you're doing. You're just talking to a camera about your feelings. You can use a voice memo if you don't want to film it. That is a good way to just get it out of you. You know, like, just get the thoughts out and be reflective with like your voice instead of just writing. All of these ideas about time to reflect and journaling and all that stuff, it goes back to the concept that your thoughts are valuable. You have a perspective that is worth hearing. Lucky girl syndrome. Lucky girl syndrome is just manifestation repackaged, because it's using your mind as a tool to affect your reality. It's just acknowledging when good things happen, or even when things could have been worse but weren't. It is a way to trick yourself into being grateful. I think about how grateful I am every time I go from point A to point B in a car. I did not get hit. How is that possible? This is crazy. Little things like that. Take nothing for granted. Make a soundtrack for your life. I want you to make a list of all the things you do every day. And like we were just talking about, monotonous everyday stuff, you do the same things most days. Brushing your teeth, getting ready for work, commuting, working out, whatever it is you do. Make a playlist for each of those things with music that you like. That will help you get into the right mood and mindset. That, like, what do you want to feel when you're doing those things? Energized, happy, you know, pensive, whatever it is, the playlist will help you get there. Mood lighting. Oh my goodness. Ambient lighting is crucial. Don't use the big light. I live by that. I do not have a big light in this apartment. It is all ambient light. The second thing is try to get colored bulbs, like colored smart bulbs would be great. And you can set them on a timer to be all moody and stuff like that. Really savor meals. Try not to distract yourself by watching something or listening to something. Like, sit there in the moment and think about the food you're eating and really savor the food. I love my morning coffee. I savor it. I look forward to it. And if you have a meal like that you look forward to, like, do not distract yourself with some form of media. Watch montages from movies that inspire you. I'm not kidding. Devil Wears Prada has so many amazing montages. Legally Blonde has 2 montages in there. These get me so excited and motivated because it's like, okay, think of me doing that. The reason they're montages is because they're doing boring stuff and they wanted to put it together with music underneath it and make it feel more exciting. You can do that in your head with your own life. We're seeing Elwood studying a lot and exercising, like super monotonous stuff. In The Devil Wears Prada, we're seeing Andy just walking through the streets dressed incredibly. Which brings me to my next one is dress to impress. Dress to impress yourself. Dress in a way that makes you feel good and comfortable, like you can take on the world. Make sure that you feel the way you want to feel in your clothing. Some days that can look like you're a baddie going to the gym and wearing a cute workout outfit. Other days that may feel like you want to be smart business casual. Maybe you want to be a little overdressed to this social occasion. Maybe you want to just be super cool girl with just like a really casual vibe. However you want to feel, try to achieve that through your outfit and your aesthetic, because it's just fun to put together and it's really nice to feel like you look how you're feeling when you're feeling good. So that's all I have for you guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to consider liking and commenting and subscribing. I'm so grateful you're here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't wait to see you in the comments.